What's up, Jaguars? Mr. Crowder here. Happy last week of school before Christmas break. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. What you're taking a look at right now is the Frank family and World War II timeline that I mentioned earlier. It's on pages 196 and 197 in your textbook. It's also available online. I also posted it in our weekly planner this week. This is going to be a two-part video because it's going to be, well, it's going to take a little bit longer for me to go through, and I only have 5 minutes on Screencastify here. So we're looking at this to relate to some things of how the Frank family ties in with their the events of World War II. To give you some context here, the timeline starts in 1929 when Anne Frank is born in Germany. However, on the timeline of World War II events, we need to go back a little bit further. At the end of World War I in 1918, the Germans were on the losing side of World War I. And so they ended up becoming financially and militarily lesser than what they were. The United States and our allies took a lot of things, took a lot of their military power, and asked them to pay us a lot of money because they started World War I. That being said, we have also coming in 1929, the Great Depression hits, the stock market crash. And so people who were rich all of a sudden overnight became poor. And that led them to being disillusioned or disenfranchised with their government. And that's how Hitler was able to come to power. So in 1933, Adolf Hitler comes to power in Germany. Over the next few months, he eliminates all other political parties except the Nazi Party. And Jewish people no longer can work in the medical, legal, government, or teaching positions. So he's already starting to place blame on Jewish people. And so Otto, Mr. Frank, he moves the family out of Germany, and they move to the Netherlands, into Amsterdam. And so in 1935 in Germany, so that the Franks have moved out of Germany at this point, the Nuremberg laws are passed, which they strip Jewish people of their rights. It's crazy. This would just be like the United States passing a bill saying that anybody that is Asian no longer has rights in our country. That's literally what he did. At this time, the Franks are hanging out in Amsterdam. Anne ends up going to a all Jewish school because of the way things are. And then September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland. That really triggers World War II. As I had mentioned in a couple of Zoom calls earlier, before this, shortly before September 1st, Hitler had met with the Prime Minister of Germany, a person by the name of Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister of England, a guy by the name of Neville Chamberlain. They met, and Hitler had promised him that he would not invade Poland. And it's literally like he shook his hand with his fingers crossed, because no sooner than a couple months later, he invaded Poland, thus starting World War II. And so we jump ahead to May of the next year. The Nazis invade the Netherlands, and they set up a brutal police force called the Gestapo, which isolates the Jews in Holland from the regular folk. And so the Franks go into hiding July 6th, 1942. Anne had just gotten her diary less than a month ahead of time. And so July 6th, 1942. So the war continues throughout all this time. Now, I'm not even talking about the Pacific theater. There's a whole other side of the war outside of Europe that's happening in the Pacific, mainly in the Pacific Ocean around Japan, since Japan is somebody else we were fighting. So we're not even talking about that. We're only focusing on World War II in Europe. So check out for part 2 of the video, where we will continue to discuss this timeline.